United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Welcome, everyone. Sorry, we were in a meeting ahead of time and went a little bit longer than we had planned. So, all right, at least we call roll. I don't have that, but call roll, please. Yeah, I do.
Here. Member Hubbard. Here. Councilmember Wong.
Here.
Here.
Yes. All right. Next, we'll adopting the agenda. Are there corrections or additions to the agenda? If not, I would entertain a motion to approve.
Motion to approve the agenda.
Motion by Councilmember Hatfield,
Second.
second by Councilmember Hubbard to adopt the agenda. Discussion. Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Post same sign. Motion carries. Visitor presentation. Tonight we have Mr. Eric Lemke to awards chair of the American Public Works Association, Minnesota chapter for the Downtown Highway 41 project. So, Eric, come on up, or whoever's coming up. I need a name. Eric, we know, but I do need your name. So,
Evening, Mayor, members of the council. My name is Jupe Hale. I'm the Senior Director of Municipal Services at the consulting firm WSB. I'm also the president of the Minnesota chapter of American Public Works Association. Just want to say I'm grateful to be here tonight to help honor the achievement of Chaska team on a successful project. With me tonight is Emmanuel, most of you know well, Eric Lemke. He's principal at Stantec engineering consulting firm as well, and chair of our awards committee for the chapter. Minnesota chapter of APWA consists of approximately 1,100 public works members from around the state, coming from public agencies, cities, counties, states, consulting firms, vendors, and contractors, generally the spectrum of the public works realm. We provide education and training for our members, leading to certifications and career advancement. We pursue workforce development so we have a strong and sustainable workforce in the form of young professionals, groups, diversity, equity, and inclusion initiatives, and student chapters at the University of Minnesota and St. Thomas University. We also provide a forum for our members to build their network, share issues, and talk about solutions to issues that we face every day. Lastly, important for us tonight, we are advocates for public works. We're the voice of public works in communities, councils, and legislatures. We acknowledge our issues. We have a way to share and solve those day to day. But tonight we're here in another advocacy role, and that's to acknowledge our successes and celebrate when personnel or projects go above and beyond. So with that, again, thank you for the opportunity. I'd like to turn it over to Eric to talk a little bit more about the awards committee, their mission, and the award you're receiving tonight.
Thanks. Good evening, Mayor and Council. As Jupe said, my name's Eric Lemke, and I chair the awards committee on behalf of the Public Works Association. The awards committee itself is made up of about a dozen volunteer professionals within the organization. Each year we solicit projects and personnel awards from around the state. Nomination, you can imagine we get a diverse host of projects, and it's always a challenge to how do you really compare the worth of one project to another. It's a pretty time consuming and normally difficult process to do that. But often we see certain public works projects really stand out. And the city of Chaska's downtown Highway 41 improvements was one of those projects that really stood out, and our association felt it was worthy of award recognition. Just some background for the council on what, in order to be considered for the criteria, some of the criteria in order to be considered. The project itself must include innovative construction management techniques and the completion of a project on schedule, maintain an excellent project safety performance and safety program throughout construction, evidence of strong community relations during all project phases, and then consideration given to the environment and sustainable techniques, unusual accomplishments given adverse conditions, a project that provides future value to the public works perception and overall perception by the public. And lastly, consideration is always given to projects that, include value engineering, some innovative project financing, and multi-agency coordination and participation. And I can confidently say that this project checked all the boxes. And I'm not just saying that because, I helped deliver some of the parts of this project that I'm proud to be associated with, but I abstain from casting anything in our meeting conversations until other committee members spoke, and it was clear that after the discussion went around the table, there was really not much need for me to pile on. Everything that had been said about what project was really worthy of our project of the year application. Everyone felt that there was a clear winner on what this project accomplished. So I'm not going to bore you with all the details that you guys have lived for so many years. You guys know this project well, but I'm just going to highlight a few of the details of the project that the committee really felt separated this project from others. The city itself set out with its vision to revitalize downtown as a hub destination and a gathering place to celebrate the historic character of Chaska's downtown. And improving State Highway 41 and County Road 61 were definitely critical paths to achieve that vision. And then for any project to be successful, it needs a project champion. And this unique situation, Chaska took the lead for MnDOT's and Carver County's roadway improvements. The committee felt that the success of this $23 million reconstruction project, the city really achieved that vision and provided something in the community, as well as a safer, more efficient transportation network for Chaska and its project partners. And the fact that the transportation solution chosen was a road die, taking a trunk highway from 4 lanes to 3 lanes with an emphasis on pedestrian accessibility and safety was unique and, for lack of better words, pretty remarkable. The committee acknowledged the extraordinary amount of public outreach and collaboration that you did with the Downtown Business Alliance, residents, and other project stakeholders. The application noted over 80 meetings were held, which I did not even know there was that many, but I'm sure it felt like maybe more than that at times. Another accomplishment was that the project phasing in such a tight corridor and keeping portion open to business was really a commitment. We recognize that it would have been much easier just to close the road down, but city leaders were adamant that they want to keep project open and phase it such that businesses could remain active. Another aspect that set it apart was Chaska being a historic river town. The project overcame unique obstacles, such as working with SHPO regarding historic preservation parameters, working with Native American tribes near the City Square Park. And let's not forget the historic flooding that we had last year as the project was wrapping up. Lastly, the emphasis on transportation and pedestrian safety was clearly accomplished. More inviting pedestrian access to businesses and connectivity to trails that didn't exist before, paseo walkways and accessible parking, and while still keeping that historic character of downtown in mind, really played a part of that set this project from others. And lastly, we know that projects like this don't happen without the great support community and youth leaders and other project partners. It's really remarkable to see the city's vision come to fruition in creating such an attractive project. And it's amazing what that looks like at night and even during the day. You should all be proud of this project. Really serves as a role model to how what is possible in the future of transportation initiatives by demonstrating how a community's goals and multi-agency collaboration can be successful to deliver both local and regional objectives. So with that, on behalf of the Minnesota chapter of APWA, I'm proud to present the project of the year in the transportation category to the Highway 41 Downtown Improvement Project. Congratulations and thanks again for allowing Jupe and myself to be here. So,
Just before I get up, I just, as you read off the criteria, I'm going, checked, checked. I mean, it was amazing how all of those, there was no thinking about it. They were checked. They were clearly, the boxes were checked and, uh, like you said, for us to take on this role, to work with the state and the county, which probably a lot of times are nearly impossible. It's a big lift, and that guy right there has a lot to do. Don't sit down. Don't be walking away on me.
He wasn't pointing, he was pointing at Noel.
Yeah. And Noel, we needed Noel too, but really for a city engineer to take that lift is a big project. So, but our staff has been tremendous about all of the things that you talked about. All of those things were done and they weren't done without a lot of people and there were a lot of them are in this room. So, clearly.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Appreciate it.
Thank you. Thank you. Appreciate it. Me too. I got your picture. Smile.
We're good.
Perfect. Thank you, guys. Thanks again. Thanks, sir. Appreciate it.
congratulations.
Thank you.
Thank you. So thank you for that. That got presented to us a couple weeks ago at their annual conference and listening to the projects, it was a big project and a lot to do and so far I'm really thrilled how it's come out and there's still a few components left in it and excited to see those. Probably won't see them till spring now, but we'll be excited to see all that. So thank you for recognizing the hard work that a lot of people did. A lot of times we do a lot of hard work, but we don't get recognized for it. And I think this really says a lot for the project. So thank you very much.
One thing I'll just mention, we got an email today saying that this project actually got the top project of the year from the Civil Engineering Association of Minnesota, which is like so this project is getting recognized a bunch of different ways. So I mean,
So that's gonna get more awards?
Matt's gonna get more awards.
Right,
Matt.
more council meetings for you. All right, thank you. All right, is there anyone else under visitor presentation not on an agenda item? Not seeing anybody, so we are gonna move on. Approving previous meeting minutes, and that's from the 12/2/2024 council meeting. Are there any corrections or additions? If not, I would entertain a motion.
I make a motion to approve previous meeting minutes.
Motion by Councilmember Hubbard,
Second.
second by Councilmember Grau. Again, that's adopting the 12/2/2024 meeting minutes. Discussion. Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Okay.
Both same sign. Motion passes. Next we're on item 10, which is consent. We have a lot of them tonight, almost a whole page of them. Again, these are all items that we need to approve, but any and all are able to be pulled off and discussed. So with that point, is there anyone that has any comments regarding a consent item? I'm gonna touch on one thing. One of the items in here is our city manager's performance review. And that's what we were doing prior to our meeting here tonight is I just really want to touch on that. We talked about a lot of things here and we're still, Matt has done a tremendous job of providing leadership and getting many things accomplished, And, so I just want to touch on that. I don't know if anyone else from council wants to go into any more depth on it, but I just wanted to make sure that Matt is recognized for his performance. He does a great job and we as a council are very happy. There are things that we all, you know, it's like anywhere, there's things that we'd like to see and we gave him those and we're excited. I mean, one of the biggest thing is we lost our local paper and our biggest thing now is how do we communicate? Where do you communicate? It's such a challenge and it's been gone for maybe 4 months and we have really seen how big of a challenge it is to get information out. So that was one of our key takeoffs is we need to figure out how to communicate with our residents. We just don't feel like we're getting that out. We have things and we have this, but I don't look at that and I only look at that and I didn't see it and I didn't get it. I got it, I threw it away. So those are that, and quite honestly, that's gonna be a big lift trying to figure that out. So we're not telling them how to do it. We're just saying we got to do something. And it's very important for us as we move forward. But again, I just want to say thank you, Matt, for performing at such a high level and really keeping us going in the right direction. So thank you for that.
Thank you.
Anyone else? Good?
Just, yeah, we're very lucky.
Yep.
Echo that. We're very fortunate to have you as our city administrator, and because, you know, for those who aren't familiar with the way that, you know, what the city administrator's role is, they're sort of like the day-to-day of the, you know, the CEO of the city, so to speak. And that's such a critical role because it oversees all the everything that happens within the city, from fire, police to public works, electric, everything. And to have you in that position and to be performing at such a high level, we're, you know, very, very fortunate, very blessed to have you. So thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, the depth of knowledge that you have to contain is incredible. It's like the visual of you know, the person on the unicycle with this juggling all the plates and they're all spinning and spinning and spinning. And
He
it-
does that. Haven't you seen that?
Yeah, you know, and I mean, it takes that and, you know, that amount of veracity to be able to do all of that. So you do an incredible job. Thank you.
All right. Anyone else have anything on consent? If not, I would entertain a motion to approve consent.
Motion to approve consent?
Motion by Councilmember Hatfield.
I'll second.
Second by Councilmember Wong to approve consent. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye. Post same sign. Motion carries and we're into action items. First item on the list is adopt resolution 2024-107 approving the concept plan for Beckman Coulter at 316 Hazeltine Drive.
Mayor and council member, this concept plan is one that's coming from the planning commission with a recommendation of approval. I am always super excited when I see one of our businesses in the industrial park expanding. Beckman's done it a few times and we really appreciate that. Liz is here to go over the plans of what they're looking at with an existing building, adding on to that, and with that adding quite a few jobs in the community too. So I'll turn it over to Liz.
Thank you, Matt. Thank you, Mayor and council members. We have a concept plan application in front of us this evening for Beckman Coulter, specifically for their location at 316 Lake Hazeltine Drive. This is being proposed by Beckman Coulter and their consulting team, CRB Engineers. The site in question is highlighted in kind of a yellow-orange outline on this aerial exhibit. The site is located on the northeast portion of the city, basically on the border of the city of Chaska with the city of Chanhassen. This is a part of an industrial park area off of Lake Hazeltine Drive, which accesses from County Road 18, or otherwise known as Lyman Boulevard. The surrounding context of this area is mainly industrial, with industrial both on the Chaska and Chanhassen sides. Another note is the Twin Cities and Western Railroad abuts the northern edge of this site. And also want to note that this building is a part of an overall campus for Beckman Coulter. They do own and lease 5 other buildings in this area, but the one in question tonight is highlighted on this aerial exhibit. So we're at the first step in the process, concept plan review, which is more of a high-level overview of the project, and we'll have 2 additional steps following for preliminary and final. And those 2 additional steps will come through Planning Commission and City Council later on. In terms of some previous approvals and some background information for this business and site, the applicant did conduct a neighborhood meeting, which is required as a part of a concept plan application, and did so on October 22nd. They did not have anyone attend this neighborhood meeting, so it was pretty straightforward. This site was approved back in 1984 for the site and building plan for the existing building on this site. At that time, there was an addition contemplated to the building on the northern side of what exists today, and highlighted in red on this slide here, which basically would have doubled the square footage of the existing building. And then back in 2013, Beckman Coulter did acquire this site. What they specialize in is developing, manufacturing, marketing, selling products for biomedical testing, with a focus on making the laboratories more efficient. They're also known for their diagnostic systems that are found in most hospitals around the nation. They are looking to expand their manufacturing operation for their overall business, not just here in Chaska, but holistically for their company. But they are focusing their efforts on expansion in that area, in Chaska specifically. And if they were to move forward with this addition on this site, it would bring approximately 300 jobs to their Chaska campus. The site in question is a little under 13 acres in size. It's currently zoned as one of our planned multi-use districts, PMD1 to be exact. That district calls the site for industrial use. So the use and the proposed use are consistent with the zoning out there. The building on this site is a 1-story, approximately 60,000 square foot building. They have approximately 180 parking stalls on site today that are accessed from Lake Hazeltine Drive at 2 different access points that are on basically the east and west sides of the site. And those will remain as a part of this addition to the building. Also worth noting are there are 2 wetlands on site, which are on the northern portion of the property, kind of in the midsection of the northern area and then the northeast area. The one that's kind of in the middle of the north edge of the site is part of the overall site plan impacts for what's proposed. Trees also exist on the north side too. And a couple views into the site are on this screen here. One looking from Lake Hazeltine Drive showing the existing building, and then a internal site view looking northeast at where the existing trees and open area on the northeast side look.
Can you go back to that first, one more?
One more?
Where's Qualitech?
To the south. Or the left.
Right here, this building.
Oh, it's on the
Just the
other
left,
side of
yeah.
Qualitech. Because I know that's the old Preferred Products, and all right, now I got it, sorry.
So the request entails a concept plan approval specifically for a building addition to the existing building. That would be 2 stories in height and total approximately 148,000 square feet between the 2 stories. In addition to that, they will be expanding their parking area as well. So the layout of The expansion area, again, is on the northeast side of the building and bolded or outlined on this exhibit here. So the footprint would roughly take up 88,000 square feet of the ground or site surrounding, but with the second story added, it'll total 148,000 square feet of added square footage to the existing building. They are proposing an expansion to their parking lot, which would bring them to a total of 418 parking stalls, which would basically wrap around the east and north sides of the existing and proposed building. There is a small impact to the northern wetland with the parking and building expansion. So they'll have to go through necessary approvals with the wetland agencies to get that proposal approved.
Is that a big challenge?
Not that we foresee right now, it's just a normal procedural thing that they'll have to go through.
They
So
have the ability to keep the wetland on site? They don't have to do any off-site stuff?
they'll have to submit a mitigation and impact plan as a part of the preliminary, which looks at other alternatives that they've explored to get to this outcome.
Okay.
The building expansion is proposed to be made out of precast concrete panels with reveals and then additional windows and glazing on the front entrance side. The total height of that building expansion area would be 35.5 feet tall. And then in terms of parking, again, they're providing 418 stalls. Per our code and how they're programming the space, it does require 505 parking stalls to meet our parking code. So one thing they'll have to work on into preliminary is showing a proof of parking exhibit and providing a summary of their needs for the parking for us to understand how the parking proposed would support the size of the building and the amount of employees that they plan to bring here. This exhibit shows the existing building on the top images here with the proposed materials on the building addition. The existing building is also made out of precast concrete. So the proposal to add an addition with precast concrete panels will be a complementary design compared to the existing, as well as additional windows to help provide a more appealing front. These two images show the renderings of the proposed building addition. The building addition will be set back quite a ways from Lake Hazeltine Drive, but we'll still have a pretty significant view and presence being viewed from that angle. So a few things that the applicant will need to work on as they prepare for preliminary, as we get into more of the details and the civil work. They will have to work on the parking and show proof of parking, as well as a summary of the need for their facility for us to understand that the parking is adequate to support their proposal. Also working on the landscaping for this size of building addition. And then working on their wetland mitigation and impact plan, since they propose to impact one of the wetlands on site. But with that, we are asking you to make a motion to adopt resolution number 2024-107, which is approving the concept plan for 316 Lake Hazeltine Drive, also known as Beckman Coulter, based on the conditions listed within that document. I'm happy to answer any questions. We also have representatives from Beckman Coulter and their engineering team here if you have any questions for them. Thank you.
Questions, anyone for Liz? I agree totally with Matt. There's nothing better than seeing companies reinvest and add on and build in our community. It's awesome. The building looks beautiful. I think it's going to fit into there just perfect. I'm excited and can't wait for it to see it happen. So That's all I got to add. There's nothing better.
Wholehearted,
Go ahead. No, I'm done.
wholeheartedly agree with the mayor, and thank you for continuing to invest in Chaska. We very much appreciate it, and look to continue having a great relationship with Beckman Coulter.
If I can, Mayor and council
Absolutely.
members, I'm Amy Salisbury. I'm the senior site operations leader. And we're excited that it sounds very positive. So we're very excited to bring more manufacturing jobs here to Chaska and the surrounding area. Not very often in the United States do you get to expand manufacturing jobs. So we're
Right.
thrilled to do that and looking forward to the expansion. And let me know if you have any questions.
Did you get plans? Is your goal to go right away as soon as you possibly can, or is it wait
Yeah,
till spring
we're
now?
speeding through, long as we get all the approvals and all of the, so we got internal approvals, we've got these approvals, we've got the state approvals as well for the concessions that we can try to get. So all of those things are lining up pretty quickly so that we, hopefully can do a spring groundbreaking and get it dried in before winter.
Be awesome. Like I said, that's to bring that many jobs and like you say, to get manufacturing going here, and especially not only Chaska, but the United States is tremendous. I commend your company for doing what they do, and we as a city obviously appreciate what you're doing greatly. So thank you
Thank
very
you for
much.
supporting us. We appreciate it.
Again, for somebody that doesn't, we have the 3 phases. This is concept. It's going to be touched twice more before it's done. Have to, work on those conditions that are of issue right now. And I just know, working from the past, we generally can get through those and come to a resolution fairly quick. So excited to see you hopefully in a couple months, if not less. So all right, with that, if there's no other comments or questions, I guess I'm looking for what's your pleasures.
So I'd like to make a motion to adopt resolution 2024-107, approving the concept plan for Beckman Coulter at 316 Lake Hazeltine Drive.
All right, so I have a motion
Second.
and a second now to adopt resolution 2024-107, approving the concept plan for Beckman Coulter. Any further discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Post same sign. Motion carries. Thank you very
Thank you
much.
very much.
Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you. Also. All right. Next on the docket, is adoption of the 2025 tax levy and general enterprise fund budgets.
Mayor and council members, to keep myself brief, I put together notes because otherwise I'll just start rambling. As you are aware, we've been working since August and meeting since August on putting together not only what we're talking about for a tax levy for 2025, but also putting together budgets, rates, everything else that goes along with both our general fund and our enterprise fund budgets. I think I mentioned at the last meeting, our tax levy is about $21 million, and that's not a small amount, but it's only about 20% of the total revenue that supports the operations that we have for the city. We have a budget of over $100 million. So not only are the tax discussions important, but the discussions on all the revenue and how we put together a budget is important. So this is the last step in the budget process that we take. As you remember, back at the last meeting, we did have our truth and taxation public hearing, which is a notice that's sent out to each of the property owners in the community to show them what their impact would be from what's being proposed as the taxes for next year. And then tonight is really when we take action on establishing not only that tax levy, but also establishing the budgets for each of the funds we have within the city. So I'll start with the general fund and just sort of point out some of the highlights in there. First of all, I think one thing I think is important to point out is that our population continues to increase. We now are approximately 30,000 people in the community. We've grown a lot in the last 20 years. It's 11,000 households. So obviously with that, the amount of services that we provided also increase. We've had a really robust year again for building activity within the community. We will be around $2 million in building that we'll see for this year. Not quite as much as the $3 million we saw the year before, but we had 3 apartment buildings being built at the same time, which were big projects along with other projects going on. But one of the things that's been really clear is that building activity has been much more robust over the last about 2 to 3 years. And we don't see that really changing for next year. I mean, we're talking about a 150,000 square foot building going out in the industrial park, those types of things. Now, from a budgeting perspective, even though we probably would end up being very similar in 2025 to what we are this year, we budget about $1.3 million just to make sure that we, that's one project can go away and mess things up pretty good. So we try to be conservative on that number. Market values in the community did go up 6.73%, but I think the thing that was most telling to me was that 53% of the growth came from new construction. And so what that means is that there's a shift of property tax burden going more to new construction and new things coming in the community than there is on existing properties. So that's the first time we've actually seen more new growth than existing property values going up for quite a few years now. So that's a positive trend to see. The other thing we saw is our commercial industrial property values go, or the percentage of property values attributed to commercial industrial went from 9% to 15%. So that's another thing, shifting a lot more of that tax burden off of households and then into growth that we're seeing in our industrial areas. So that all has a positive impact on perspective. Our electric fund in 2025, we have it scheduled to contribute about $5 million to the general fund. That comes from basically 10% of our revenues or profits from the electric fund. 5% of that is a franchise fee that we charge ourselves. The other 5% is a transfer. We've been doing a 10% transfer for probably about 35 to 40 years. But it's continued to grow because our electric business has continued to grow over time. And it's important to state that we're doing this while at the same time as being 11% lower than Excel on electric rates. So we have lower electric rates and they help us keep our taxes lower as well. The 3 big things that we focused on for the general fund budget this year, first of all, was the continuation of our tax levy policy. So that's looking at our tax levy policy says that we increase by the rate of inflation plus new growth in the community, and that we'd only increase above that if we have a new program in place, which we have our building program in place. So our baseline taxes for the year, we saw 5% for inflation plus 3.58% for new growth. So we had a total of 8.76% increase that's attributed to just sort of our baseline. Second thing is we continue with our camp program. So we have a number of roads that we're going to be overlaying next year, and then also replacing a park in our system. So we have $1 million that's allocated towards that each year. So we'll continue to do that. The other thing we'll do is we had $500,000 that was set aside in our camp program this year for City Square Park. That will get used up next year to do the renovations in City Square Park. And then the other big thing that we focused on in the general fund this year is the 3rd year of our building program. Third of 4 years of implementing the revenues necessary to support our building program. So with that, we're going to finish our public safety center. It was looking like early December of 2025, and then coming up in the early part of 2025. So January, February timeframe, we'll start the process of designing our municipal service building, getting the architectural stuff get put together and go through the exact same process that we did with our public safety center. So about the first third of the year will be dedicated to really sort of that design. And then the other 2/3 will be dedicated to the whole planning process that we go through so that we're ready in January of 2026 to go out for bid. In the general fund, we have our normal replacement vehicles, and as far as impact to the median value home, so the median value home in the community in 2024 was $390,000. And that the city taxes payable in 2025 for that home would be $1,523 for the year. So that's an increase from 2023 of $144 for the year, or $12 per month, which $54 of that is attributed to our baseline increase and $90 to our building program. And with that, looking at where we stand in the Twin Cities for our tax levy per capita, we're number 62 out of 84. So we're still in the bottom quarter of cities as far as the tax levy per capita in the Twin Cities. So we've obviously made some pretty big changes in the last 2 years, but we've still maintained a very competitive place within the Twin Cities. So that's the general fund. Next, I'll jump into the utility funds. I think probably the thing that people probably care about the most is with the changes that we have for our utility fund, what can people expect their bill to look like? So based on the proposed increases that we've been talking about during the fall here, for somebody who has a typical bill, which would be 750 kilowatts of electricity, 4,000 gallons of water, 4,000 gallons of sewer, and then they pay a stormwater fee, they would see an increase of 2.99%, which equates to $5.83 per month of increase there. So as far as the different components of it, first of all, electric. So one thing to point out with electric is we've grown to almost $50 million in sales now in our electric department, which I can't remember when I first started exactly where it was, but I think it was somewhere right around 30 to 35 million. So we've grown a lot in the last 15 years or so as far as the amount of electricity that's sold within our community.
That data center goes, what's that gonna do?
Well, it's a little bit different because it's not, it's wholesale that goes directly into that plant. So it wouldn't reflect in our electric sales that way. We would get a hosting fee basically for hosting it. Renewable energy has been the big focus that we've had in electric. By 2030, we have to have 80% carbon-free electric, and by 2040, we have to be 100%. We're now at 42%. And we are making strides right now in working on a number of different solar projects to get us up to that 2030 goal. We are recommending that rates go up by 2.75%. The actual impact to a resident would be 2.26% because some of that goes to a service charge and some of that goes to a variable rate. So that would be the actual increase. As I'd mentioned before in the general fund, as we look at our electric utility, we're 11.46% lower than Excel during the last 13 months, which is probably the biggest spread we've seen in quite a while. And Excel, it's sort of weird. Excel is, they're going through a rate case now that they'll get some kind of an interim rate granted to them that would start in early January. At the same time, though, if you remember, they didn't get all of their rate given to them the last time. So they're this month and last month, they're actually doing rebates back to customers. And so we're gonna have to do a little deciphering next year about what's rebates and what's not rebates for the electric rates that they have. So they're sort of going through giving back people's money, but then increasing their rates. So it's just, it's weird. But that's being a large utility, they have to go through that process with the state. There is no change in the wholesale rates from MMPA. The increase that we're recommending is really because of the projects that we have going on in our own system. So we have about $3.2 million of projects next year, and that goes anywhere from the new stuff that we're having to do on Engler Boulevard to, prepare for that construction project, all the way to dealing with cabinets that need to get replaced, or those types of projects. And then
And he's talking cabinets, those are for electrical.
electric cabinets, sorry, yep.
Well, you just don't know.
And then obviously the electric fund, because it's part of the municipal service building, contributes to the building improvement program, just like our other utilities too as well. Out of the $6.5 million of total debt service each year when the program's fully going, about $2.3 million comes from the utility funds, sort of representing what their share of the usage of the facilities are. Water. So this is the last year of the last cost of service study that we did for water. We're actually in the process of wrapping up our latest cost of service study that will be used for next year's budget and planning. One of the biggest things in water was we did not have an adequate fixed service charge, and so what the cost of service study basically said was when you're seeing increases from one year to the next, you should be putting a lot more of that increase into the service charge and into the variable rate. So it doesn't change the amount, but it changes where the dollars actually go. And also recognizes that there are some people that might not be here for some period of time that still have access and to utilize the water system, but may not have actual usage during that time. There's still fixed costs that we have for our water treatment plant, our utility billing, staffing, things like that. One of the things in all of the utilities that we've been doing is moving all of our city facilities up to slowly paying the full rate for our utilities, so that we're not seeing people subsidize the rates of that. The only place we are not doing that is in the community center, because we're trying to work to build that fund back up again. It's worth noting that we're amongst the lowest water rates in the area cities. Us and Chanhassen are like almost identical as far as the numbers, and we're the two lowest that are in the area. The cost of service study recommended a 8% increase, with some going to fixed charge and some going to the variable rate. The overall impact of that, though, is 7.72% just for the water. And again, keep in mind, the overall bill is 2.99%. So water is just a component of that bill. Next year, we will have the start on the construction of our new water treatment facility up behind Cub Foods, and then finishing up our 3 new wells. We'll be continuing with the installation of our meter system that should be finished next fall. And then again, this fund will contribute to our building improvement program. As far as,
I don't know if you know this answer, that water treatment plant, are they working on that, digging through Hazeltine this year? There's a lot of equipment sitting around there, or is that part of something Hazeltine's got going on?
I don't know, are they doing that do you know if they're doing that during the winter months?
It'll be part of the water treatment plant project, but what we're doing is the test pumping. So they're finishing up the drilling for well 10. Tested out well 7, which was already there, but basically finishing up well 10.
So all that equipment there is unrelated to the well.
It's ours, or it's the contractor. who-
Well, it is for next
that
spring.
well.
Yep.
Okay, so they just left it there. All right, got it. Thank you.
As far as our sewer service, the largest single expense we have for sewer services are Met Council's treatment fee that we get charged. Every city who's hooked up to the Met Council system gets charged an amount. We actually saw our amount go down for 2025. That's the first time I think I ever remember that happening. That we actually went down. We went from 4.1 million to just under $4 million as far as our annual amount there. Our rates tend to be very similar to other cities with sewer because we all have about the same cost with the Met Council fees being sort of the number one. It can vary a little bit depending on how many lift stations that a city needs to have based on elevation changes, but they're pretty similar. The rate for sewer recommendation would be a 2.5% increase. So that would be to really continue with supporting the meter program to get that meter program up and going. The contribution towards the building improvement program, and then one very large project that we're going to have next year in the sewer system is sort of realigning and redoing manholes in the ravine, the East Creek Ravine, going up towards, basically by 212 all the way up to up by Michael's Foods in that area. So we've seen a lot of deterioration just from the types of materials that are going down into the system there that we need to go back and reline manholes, reline different areas of pipe because it's deteriorating. So that's about a $500,000 project, and it'll happen next summer.
Is when they do that relining, now it's like almost like a fiberglass type of system now. Does that prevent that?
Yeah, it's a lot more resistant.
Resistant,
than the old
okay.
stuff was.
Cause that's what I wondered, cause I figured with all the resins and stuff that go in that when they reline that it probably, so a lot of this relining might be a one and done then.
Yep.
Okay.
And then the last utilities are storm sewer. This is, I've said this every year that we've had the stormwater fund in place. This is the largest single changing fund that we have of anything that we do. We spend more effort on stormwater now than we ever did in the past. And it's anywhere from, obviously, people see it and it's visual when we have floods and we have to put our pumps down and we have to pump water over the levees and be able to manage the water that comes in. But it's the treatment of the water in the system. It's the maintenance of the ponds to be able to continue to treat those things. It's the cleaning of the streets. It's just every year there's something new. So it's definitely one that has that we put a lot of effort into, and that's why we us, along with most cities, created a stormwater utility because we used to just do it through our public works department, and it just got to be way too much for what we were having to do. So our rates are planned to go up 4% to $12.77 per month. The average of similar cities is $13.35 per month. So we're still under the average of what cities that we compare to as far as services.
I think when we put that first into started using a budget number. I think that was like about $1 something.
$3.
Was it 3? I didn't even
$3.
think it was that high.
Yeah.
It's-
Yeah.
Yeah, that was,
Yep. And we quickly found out that that wasn't enough. So, but, couple things for next year. First of all, we're gonna be purchasing an additional pump. And this is for our flood control system. And I think, one of the things that became pretty evident to us during this last flood is, boy, that it would really not be good to have this pump go, any of these pumps go down. Because, typically you could go out and you could rent equipment, but when you have such a widespread area that's being impacted by flooding, everybody's going for that equipment. And so, we're planning on putting an additional pump into the system as far as backup pump. And then also, something we haven't had in the fund, an excavator and a skid. And that's really used for the maintenance activities and ponds and things like that, in our system. So again, that's our utilities. The impact on the bills would be a 2.99% increase or $5.83 per month. Getting into our recreation funds, our community center is going to be 34 years old this year. As we've talked about, we talked to the planning process for the master plan. There's a lot of deferred maintenance that in the building. And so we really just try to prioritize where are we going to put those dollars. We did determine through that study that there's about $18 million in deferred maintenance. That is something we cannot take on right now, but we are prioritizing the things that we just need to do. We attract last year over 1 million visitors for the year, which is incredible. And we depreciate about $865,000 a year in that asset. As far as memberships, we're still down about 25% from pre-pandemic, but the numbers that we've seen over the last 3 years have been pretty steady. So we haven't seen any big dips or anything, but what we're seeing now just hasn't changed for the last 3 years. It's been pretty consistent. We are looking at a 3 to 4% increase on our annual monthly membership. A no increase to our daily rates and no increase to our dual memberships. So with the changes that we're making, we would still be very comparable, if not cheaper than most of our comparable cities who have facilities like this, except on our dual rates. Our dual rates are more expensive, and that's one of the reasons we're recommending that we keep those the same for next year. As we've talked about during the budgeting process, we have developed a 10-year plan on how to properly fund the community center. From a depreciation standpoint, this would be year 2 of that plan. And as we go into the future, there's going to be a mixture of different things that we've talked about doing to fund that depreciation. Some of them is going to be getting things that should be in our park and rec department out of the community center and into our park and rec fund, so that we're not subsidizing things that typically would not. We're not subsidizing things that are provided to the community and other communities as a park and rec service. All right. We have a few improvements that we need to that we're doing next year. One of them is we need to replace the water softeners in the ice arenas. They need to be replaced at this point. The brick sitting room, the tables and chairs need to get replaced. They're in pretty rough shape. So we'll be replacing those. We'll be replacing the indoor playground structure because that's not up to or what the code for a playground structure would be at this point. And then we have some mechanical issues in our arena number 2 in our HVAC system that we need to address this next year. And I'd mentioned before, we're not charging the full utility fees or the admin fee for the community center. They're getting supported by other funds, so they do pay the administration fee, but it's from other funds. Again, that's just to make sure that we're keeping as much cash in that fund as possible to, especially with all the deferred maintenance that we need to do. The Curling and Event Center, we continue to have real steady and strong memberships. We see about 75% of our members still come from outside the city, which that was one of our goals, is to bring people into downtown. We have the community building fund that we set up when we first built that facility, which supports the debt service. So that continues in place. The restaurants really recovered from COVID and from the road construction, and we're seeing their numbers back more similar to where we were seeing before, which is about $400,000 a year. 2025 is the last year of the first term of that lease. They've indicated to us that they intend to re-up their lease. With that, the percentage that we get goes from a 7.5% to a 8.5% of all sales that they have. And so we had that automatically built into that lease. We had a real successful year in the event center last year. We outpaced what we had budgeted for revenues in there, and continue to see that that's real busy. So that's been getting good use. As far as capital improvements in there, smaller things, we're moving to finish out our streaming equipment to stream the curling games in there, which is really something that's becoming sort of a necessity to attract bigger bonspiels and stuff to come to the facility, because a lot of people won't travel. They want to watch their kids play from home or things like that. So that's one of them. And then painting of the houses, and then new blades for our scraper, things like that. So pretty small stuff. The big one is going to be next year, is going to be replacement of the carpet and the chairs in the event center.
More circles?
No. And not pink.
Hot pink, is that what you just said?
Not.
Oh.
Has that, and I don't, maybe I missed hearing you say it, has that corporate level stuff during the day, has that come back? I know that COVID really slowed it down, but.
Well, no, we actually, it came back. The corporate really follows the Olympic cycle. Like in the year of the Olympics, it's like super high. And then it goes back to what's sort of a normal level.
I just thought I had heard, and I just kind of put it with more of just the economy and things like that and stuff like that. So I wasn't, I know that the curling does go with the Olympics a lot, but I didn't realize that was in that corporate as well.
Yeah, no, it's pretty funny when you look at the numbers. It's like the year of the Olympics and afterwards are like big corporate event users. It's not that we don't see a lot of them still, but they're not as high as in those years.
Okay.
Chaska Town Course. So this is probably the one thing in the world that benefited from COVID. We saw rounds go up in 2018 and 2019. We had rounds of about 29,000. And since COVID, we've been at about 40,000 rounds each year. So, I mean, we saw a dramatic increase.
Max.
No, I mean,
Can't be too much room.
no, I mean, we're maxing out in the summertime, no doubt. Can you get people to come in those shoulder seasons?
Oh, okay. I was just thinking just generally 40,000 has to be ordinary it though, but I see what you're saying.
Yeah.
There, yes.
There's definitely room in the shoulder seasons, but you just never know what you're gonna get. So, We had an average of a little over 39,000 rounds over the last 5 years. We're budgeting at 37,000 rounds just to keep it a little bit more conservative. We're continuing to work on the resident, non-resident or regular, and non-regular rates to get to a point where we have a 25% discount for residents on weekdays and a 20% discount on weekends. Because now we have 50% of our players are actually residents, which is great, but they have a pretty significant discount too. So right now in 2025, when we make those rate changes, we'd be at 22% discount on weekends. So we're almost there for that. We had anticipated that it'd probably take us to about 27 or 28 to get to that level. So we're close on the weekends. On the weekdays, we're still at a 31% discount for weekdays. So we still have about 6% left on that. Oak 19 just gets better and better every year. We're pretty consistent at about $40,000 a year. We have a 6% revenue sharing lease with them. Now we're up around $60,000 a year, so they've seen a lot of success there. The improvements that we need to make for 2025, one would be irrigation satellites replacements, and then the other one is we're going to repave half the parking lot there. We're going to do half the parking lot this summer, and then we're going to flip it and do the other half in the following summer so that we don't lose that parking during the season. And one thing that COVID also did is it made our rates even compare even better to our to other courses, because other courses just they raise their rates a ton. And I mean, I get it. It's there's a lot of golfers and they're coming even though they're charging that amount. But we've really sort of stayed sort of with a steady increase instead of seeing one big increase like that. So now our rates are quite a bit lower than other, especially high-end courses. But even when you compare ourselves to the Bluff Creeks and Dahlgreens, we're very comparable to those courses, which is really good. I keep on thinking that at some point in time, this bubble of this level of golfers is going to start to wane a little bit. I think we're going to be in a good position where we're probably not going to have to do a whole lot with our rates at that point. These other courses who have set them way high are probably going to have to come down quite a bit. And then the final thing is the loop. So we really had a great first year being open. We did open late, so we didn't get sort of that early spring stuff where we tend to get a lot of kids that come out in the early part of the year, especially if they're in golf team or things like that. And we were closed for a full week during the US Amateur, which was cool because we got a lot of recognition through that. But we did lose a week of rounds there. So we saw almost 20,000 rounds, even with those, those constrictions there. Comparing that to, I think the last year that the par 30 was open, I think we were at like 14,000 rounds. We're budgeting for 26,000 rounds next year because we will have the full year. And you're going to start to see a lot more next year planning as far as different types of leagues, and that'll be either golfing leagues, it could be putting leagues and the Minnaleas. Just a lot more programmed activity that will be out there next summer. We're recommending that we keep the rates the same as 2025 just because people really just haven't gotten used to it yet. The only improvement that we really feel we need to make that became clear it was sort of an issue last summer was where the pergola is outside. it's just not stopping any of the sun. And so we're looking at a solution to put some type of a screen or cover over that to create shade out there, because especially as we get into some of the program stuff, that's where they're going to do the classes and teaching, and to sit there baked in the sun just isn't real pleasant. So, and then our rates are very comparable to other executive courses around. So that's my summary of all the funds. I will point out that in your packet, you'll find the not only the staff report and then the general fund and enterprise fund budgets, but my budget message is also in there as well. We'll be putting all that out on the webpage so that people have access to be able to see not just what our budget is, but the budget message is meant also to say why. Why is it that we're going this direction? Why is it that really to hopefully give people a good sense of just what what decisions we make and why. So with that being said, tonight we do a couple things. We have to adopt the budget and then also the tax levy. We have to do that in the EDA as well. And then the action after this is to actually set the utility rates for 2025. So there's two different resolutions in there. One is for adopting the tax levies, and then the second resolution is adopting the fund budgets. And certainly can answer any questions.
Questions for Matt? Again, for anyone watching tonight, this is a very short version. We've been seeing it since August. So we've seen it multiple times and went through it many, many times. So this is not anything that we've ever taken lightly, and we're not taking it lightly, but it's just, we've seen this, we're very comfortable with it. But it's important that we have another opportunity for people to hear what our budget is, why. Like Matt says, it'll be available for people that really want to take the time and sit down and go through our budget process. So it's a lengthy read. It'd be a cold weekend to spend reading, but if you want.
I kept it under 100 pages. It was
99. 99 pages. With that, if there are no questions, like you said, we have two things to do. One is adopt resolution 24-98, adopting the property tax levies for payments 2025. And I would entertain a motion if someone is willing.
I'll move to adopt resolution 2024-98 for the 2025 levy.
Motion by Councilmember Wong.
Second.
Second by Councilmember Hatfield, and that's the 2024-98 adopting property tax levies for payable 25. Discussion. Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Post same sign. Motion carries. Next, we have a motion to adopt 2024-99, adopting 2025 fund budgets.
I'll make a motion.
Motion by Councilmember Hubbard.
Second.
Second by Councilmember Gra. Again, a motion to adopt resolution 2024-99, and that's the 2025 fund budgets. Fund, not fund budgets. I don't know if that came out right. I want to be clear.
So we didn't talk about fund budgets.
Yeah, we did a fund budgets. We don't have. So, all right, any further discussion? Hearing none. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Post same side. Motion carries. All right. Next item on ours is adopt adopt 2025 tax levy and general enterprise fund budgets.
Just did that.
Just did that.
Yep.
Yeah,
Next,
that's
the
the,
utility rates.
oh yeah, we got it utility. Okay.
A
I
bunch of
was
ordinances,
thinking
resolutions
different.
there.
Sorry. I knew it didn't look right. So establishing 2025 utility rates. Now I'll give it to you.
Mayor and Councilmember, this report is really just calling out the things I just talked about. With our water, we need to set our water, sewer, stormwater, and electric rates. Again, the overall impact to the average user is a 2.99% increase, or $5.83 per month. And there are individual resolutions for each of the rates. So we do need to take each one separately.
So we have 5 motions.
Yep.
Okay. All right. Is there any, like Matt said, he's kind of, this is just the same information he discussed. We just have to act on these things individually. So I'll just follow right down the line that I have them on my screen here. And that's a motion to adopt ordinance 2024-1053 establishing the 2025 electric utility rates.
So moved.
Motion by Councilmember Wong,
Second.
second by Councilmember Gra. Again, motion to adopt ordinance 2024-1053 establishing electric utility rates. Discussion. Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Post same sign. Motion carries. Next one I have up is motion to adopt resolution 2024-95 approving summary publication of electric ordinance 2024-1053.
So moved.
Motion by Councilmember Hatfield,
Second.
second by Councilmember Hubbard. Resolution 2024-95 approving summary publication of electric ordinance. Discussion. Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Post same sign. Motion carries. Next up, motion to adopt ordinance 2024-1054 establishing 2025 water and sewer utility rates.
So moved.
Motion by Councilmember Gra,
Second.
second by Councilmember Wong. Ordinance 2024-1054, 2025 water and sewer rates. Discussion. Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Post same side. Motion carries. Next, we have motion to adopt resolution 2024-96 approving summary publications of water and sewer ordinance 2024-1054.
So moved.
Motion by Councilmember Hubbard,
Second.
second by Hatfield. And that's again, resolution 2024 approving summary publication of water and sewer ordinance 2024-1054. Discussion. Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye. Post same sign. Motion carries. Next, adopt resolution 2024-97 establishing 2025 stormwater utility rates.
So moved.
Motion by Councilmember Hatfield,
Second.
second by Councilmember Wong. Again, that's resolution 2024-97 establishing 2025 stormwater utility rates. Discussion. Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Post same sign. Motion carries. Let's see here. That's it under action, right? Yes. Yep. We go to bills. Anyone have a question on a bill?
Just in the tradition of questions, I have 2 questions. Let's see. First is on page 2. There's an item for Archer Mechanical that was a condenser replacement. What was the condenser replacement for?
Let's see here. I don't know if you know, no. I think it's the community center.
I feel like we've heard something about the community center recently.
I wasn't sure if those, yeah.
I'd have to check specifically on that one. There's not enough detail in there, but
I'll get back to him next week.
I'll get back to you, next year.
Next year.
Yeah.
The only other question I had was it was basically about the well drilling. So it's like there's some well drilling on wells 10 and 11 and 12. I was wondering, like how much more is there on the well drilling project? I know that we have some work that's, ongoing, and some of this in preparation of the new the new water treatment facility that will be built. But just wondering how much more is left to be done on these.
Well, the wells have been drilled. Right now, it's really the testing of the wells that's going on. So there's not really much left for actually drilling them.
These are the ones that are located like over Ridge.
Yeah, well, are you talking about those, or are you talking about the ones by both? Yeah,
okay.
they're both, pretty much done.
Yep.
I know the ones by Clover Ridge, I know one of my friends from Rotary lives right next to it, and I think it irritated him a lot. But
I've heard from a couple of residents there.
Yeah.
Myself.
But that should be done except for testing. They'll continue to test it.
Now, will they do that testing this winter when they flow all that water?
Matt, do you know?
They flowed, or we've already flowed, the deep well, which was 11. 12 is not near as deep. So we're just finishing, they're just in the process of.
Are those the 2 by Clover?
Yep.
Okay.
Those are over on Clover. So, I mean, we're probably 70% through the contract.
Okay.
Pricing, so.
Because the one
heavy
by,
lift is done.
one by Hazeltine, that's already been flowed, right? That's done.
Yep.
And now it's just doing that.
Is that the technical term? Flowed?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
It's flowed.
We push all the water downstream and release it. Where's all that water go?
Now, we still got to do for Hazeltine though, right? And
Yeah, we still have to connect everything to the system. Yeah.
that's just looping the system.
Yep, that's basically supplying, getting more water into the plant that's there, one across the street.
And Elise just told me it's the city hall condenser. We've had some cold days here. Yeah, I should have thought of that just from experiencing it. But yeah, it's the replacement of the city hall condenser.
That is all I've got. So thank you very much.
All right, anyone else on the bill? Motion to pay the bill.
So moved.
Motion by Councilmember Wong. Second by Councilmember Hubbard to pay the bills. Discussion. Hearing none, Elise, will you call roll?
Hatfield.
Aye.
Councilmember Hubbard.
Aye.
Councilmember Wong.
Aye.
Councilmember Thorne.
Aye.
Mayor Winchell.
Aye. All right, we have an EDA meeting following and a little gathering after, so if anyone has anything they really would like to bring up tonight, I don't know. Not sure how we're doing this, so I'm just gonna let it go, because I have no idea at this point. So,
Yeah, should we give our speeches now or later?
yeah, what do you wanna do?
It's completely up to you. The EDA thing is gonna take 2 minutes.
Okay,
That's taped separately though. I feel like we should say it.
Yeah.
well, no, go ahead.
Okay. Whoever you'd like.
We
to go
just would
first.
like to really be done by then.
We're gonna try.
Okay, let's go for it. We'll make it work.
Who's
You're
going?
up.
Oh, I'm first. Okay, great.
Yeah, you look like
Well-
you're all anxious to go, so you're
Well,
up.
I was told to keep it short by somebody. So, just a couple things as this is kicking it off, as this is, but now I can't use words. Mayor Winchell's last meeting and Councilmember Wong's last meeting. Just a couple, like I said, real brief things to say. So, I was gonna start with Mark, but I think I'm gonna start with Mike actually. So, I think it's important for everyone to know that over the last 6 years, Mike has used at least 14 words that I had to look up the definition to. And I should also mention that I stopped tallying that in 2023, so it's probably more. But that is Mike. He is smart, innovative, and really dedicated to everything he does. And it wouldn't be a good farewell speech if I didn't quote the great Taylor Swift. So I just want to say when I was thinking about it,
Don't say take it off.
No, shake it off.
Oh, okay.
Not something
I was
Taylor
close.
says.
I was
But,
close.
with that, I wasn't gonna say shake it off either.
Good.
But one thing that does my favorite song she sings is Long Live, and she says in there, long live the magic we made. And I think we've worked on so much together that that is really cumulative of our time together. I think you have impossible shoes to fill. You deeply care about doing things the right way, even when it requires more. And we spent a lot of time together on Southwest Transit, here on the council, and many other things. There are many weeks I can think of where I saw Councilmember Wong more than 2, 3, sometimes even 4 meetings in a week, which is a lot to see anyone, to be honest, but it was always a good thing. So it really was a lot of time together, but great things. And I've got to see you do everything with great passion. So you've been a great teacher, encourager, and at times a challenger. The status quo was not something you were interested in being or doing. So you're always pushing for the very best version of the council and our community. And I want to recognize how hard it must have been to leave your seat. It really says so much about how you put your family first, and recognizing when you're at capacity. That's not something easy for people to do, especially as I would call you a high achiever. That's not an easy thing to do. So, and I was sad to have to step back from the local news effort to make sure we could keep it truly unbiased, but I know that it's in good hands with you leading or helping lead that. And I just really look forward to seeing everything you're going to do from here. And I know that we'll probably run into each other quite often again. So congratulations for your time, and looking forward to everything you do next. So then also, Mayor Winchittle, also want to quote Taylor Swift and say that.
Take it all off.
I'm not saying nothing. I'm staying out of it.
No, but I do want to just say, my goodness. Mayor Winchittle, I had the time of my life fighting dragons with you. We faced some pretty unprecedented times over the last 6 years. We had some significant challenges, and those challenges certainly felt like dragons, i.e. COVID. And I can't imagine anyone better to sit in your seat and lead through the things we faced and the things you faced even prior to this council that we're sitting on now. And it took a lot of trust to have the hard conversations and make decisions. It took respect to disagree and move forward. It took empathy and kindness to wrestle through what the best version of Chaska looked like. And you truly exemplified those things and in your leadership of Chaska and this council. And I'm certain 6 years ago, you were not quite expecting and maybe not thrilled to lead, as you said, 4 new guys. Well,
Hey, doesn't matter. You were all brand new.
We were.
It was.
The first time since like 1967, I think Luke said in that meeting or something, whenever we formed a council. But it ended up being some pretty unique times, and you really did exemplify a servant leader. And some people say that if you have no haters, you're doing something wrong. So I just wanted to say, I think you did a lot of things right.
Sure, take that.
And it was a good thing. In one of our very first meetings, I took the opportunity to immediately vote different than you. And I remember being really nervous that it'd be uncomfortable or awkward after that vote. But you showed us kindness and respect. And that was really the best welcome gift you could have given.
I know that vote.
Right?
I
And it wasn't the
remember that
chicken vote, but I wasn't going to mention chickens in here. So I won't soon forget that as we welcome 2 new council members and a new mayor that, oh my goodness.
Yeah, my pet chicken with me.
Oh, Lord.
My God.
In case we needed a chicken tonight, now he's stuck.
That looks real.
Okay, well,
Right there. Just keeping an eye on things.
so you, I'll just end with, like I said, you gave us the best welcome gift when you showed us that kindness and respect. And I'm not going to forget that as we welcome 2 new council members and a new mayor. And that you demonstrated the importance of leading Chaska first and putting our community first with every decision. So thank you.
I greatly appreciate that.
And that's all.
Thank you. Just go around, just going.
Okay, okay. All right, I wrote stuff down too, because I didn't want to ramble. So it's hard to believe that's been over 5 years of serving with the 2 of you. Sharing in the highs and lows of leading and shaping the community. And over that time, we've built strong relationships grounded in respect and camaraderie, just like any close-knit team. But I was thinking, it's funny because I don't know very many colleagues or friends that all can't hang out together unless it's some sort of publicly announced meeting. And recently, at a local event, it actually kept us from spending time together this past weekend because we all wanted to, well, I didn't know about you, John, but we all wanted to be at the same spot and only two of us could be there. And so, but I think that just to me emulates and shows the bond that we've all built together in the last 5 years. And you know, it's something to hang our hat on. So okay, so I'm gonna start with Mike. Mike, it's been a real pleasure getting to know you and serve alongside of you. I'm in awe of your service to the community. Through all the additional contributions you've served, you've had numerous commissions, boards. You're always willing to provide input towards other initiatives, and all those additional roles I know were a time sacrifice. They were time sacrifice away from your personal life and your family, and they are often a thankless sacrifice. And so I really want to thank you from the bottom of my heart for giving so much of yourself to the benefit of this community of Chaska. And I also want to thank your family for that as well. Chaska's a better community in so many areas directly from your efforts and contributions. And I do look forward also to seeing what the future holds for you. And I know you will be missed, but I know I will be seeing you around. And then there's Mark. I was like, where do we go with Mark over here? No. Gee, what do you say to the man that's led this community with humble dedication for the past, how many years has it been? 15 years. So it's hard to quantify the amount of gratitude that would match the care you've shown to this community. And spending time walking through the neighborhoods this past summer and fall and chatting with folks and individuals, it was really clear of one thing, that you were really well respected and loved throughout this whole community. And with so many speaking highly of your leadership and acknowledging that you weren't just a politician, but you were rather a public servant. And I feel like that's so true in how you carry yourself and how you interact with the community. You display an authentic, unwavering leadership, and it's really inspiring. It will be difficult not seeing you here, and of course, not giving you grief for your age-related historical remarks.
Yeah, you won't have it now with your 5 years experience.
I.e.,
Who's gonna be here?
I put up the first flagpole in Chaska.
No, that's not true. The first one at the elementary school at the time. You didn't listen properly. You need my hearing aids too?
No. But I guess all good things must come to an end, and you've earned this time to fully enjoy with your family and your interests as well. And so to end, to paraphrase a quote, it will not be from Taylor Swift, unfortunately.
That is unfortunate.
This just shows we're both millennials and we're on totally different age spectrums between the two of us. But it's actually from a wonderful book I had read this last year. And it's a paraphrase, so it's not the full quote, but it says, while we tend to remember the dramatic incidents that change history, we live for the quiet moments that mark not our calendars, but our lives. We realize it is in those quiet moments that each of us has the ability to make lives extraordinary. And Mark and Mike, you are both extraordinary men whom I cherish and I admire, and you will be sincerely missed.
Thank you. Thank you.
Okay. So I've got two things. I have my.
You gonna talk about yourself too?
No, I think I'm going to talk about the chicken that you put up there. That's a lot more interesting. No, so I've really, there's a few words of thanks to everyone, and I'm going to talk about you, Mark, because, I can't pass up that opportunity. So first, since I was sworn in on November 19th, 2018, was a little over 6 years ago, we together have shared over 140 council meetings over the past 6 years, totaling over 455 hours sitting side by side together.
Wow.
Yeah, that's 455 hours of my life sitting next to you.
Back at you there, pal.
Yeah. Which I'm entirely blessed to have, and I certainly would not have any other way.
Oh, that's a lot of hours.
In those 455 hours, you could walk about 1,592 miles, which is the same distance from here at City Hall Plaza to Caesar's Palace in Las Vegas.
No.
Yes. Or you could have walked to the Space Needle in Seattle, or you could have walked to Cinderella's Castle in Orlando, Florida for all about the same distance. In that amount of time we sat next to each other.
Wow.
Yeah. It's a lot
That's
of
an
time.
interesting, yeah, that's an interesting amount of time.
And so, between all these things, like I spent time in, here in council, and because I was here in council, I was fortunate to be our council representative of Southwest Transit. And through that, I was able to be in Suburban Transit Association, also to, do work with Met Council. I also have the governor's point with MOSAC, the Metropolitan Area Water Supply Advisory Committee, Smart Link and Metro Cities, and some other things. I'm blessed to have spent all this time with you guys and to have done all of this work. Even this year, we had 23 council meetings, and out of those 23 council meetings, I have to say staff put together, and I counted them, 5,926 pages of staff reports that we had to read together. That's this year alone. So, and to phrase it to anyone, for a new council members who may be watching, this year's council packets, those 5,926 pages, is 17 more pages than all of the following put together.
Wait, what? Wait.
So
Where's this gonna go?
if you read the Patrick Stewart autobiography, Making It So, the complete Twilight trilogy, which is, by the way, 2,752 pages, Lord of the Rings, which is 1,150 pages, and the complete works of William Shakespeare, which is 1,527 pages, that would still be 17 pages shorter than all the staff reports generated this year.
So you're saying I should add these to my book tally
should
for
add
the
this to your
year?
Yes. So there's a lot of people who think we don't do a lot of work here in council, right? And they just come up here and make a decision and it's all good, but there's a lot of work that goes in before that, which is staff generating all of the reports and all the documentation, asking all these questions and doing a lot of this work of things we have to do. And then there's us going through, reading it, processing it, understanding, asking questions, and trying to, decide what should we do, right, with this. And there's a lot of effort that goes into this. And, that's a huge amount of time, and you think about the time we put in, it's one of the things that, I cherish the time we put into this, and I cherish all the great things we've done. And, I think about like things we'll miss and things we won't miss. In a way, I'm not going to miss some of the decision-making parts of it because, I know we're in good hands. I know that there's capable people up here who are going to take care of it. Each one of you I've, worked with over the years, I have utmost faith and trust in. And I know that because we've been up here so long, I know that every one of us has taken our jobs really seriously because we're stewards of this community. We're not here to shake things up for the sake of shaking things up, but we're here as stewards of the culture, the community, the small town values that we hold near and dear to our hearts. And that this is something that we're part of this heritage of Chaska, and this is something that we're a small part of because this is something much bigger than any one of us individually. What I will miss though is that, I will miss something that's like, I don't know if any of you have noticed that every council meeting I write on this, I have my notes for myself. And on the top of this, I have this 3 words, ABC. It's kind of a takeoff on Glenn Ross's always be closing, right? But it basically says always building community. It's just a reminder to myself that what we're doing here is about building community. And it's so important that we keep that top of mind of what we do, because that's why we're here. And I will miss being part of that, in that sense of building that community, knowing what's happening, day to day. But most importantly, I'm going to miss the people. I'm going to miss everyone, that's staff, right? Like Matt, Nate. Even including Nate.
Yeah.
Sometimes I can't remember his name, but but I remember whatever your name is. No, Nate. I'm always, Nate, Elise, Noel, Matt, Liz, Christoph. And Brian. Tony out there, I'm going to miss all of you. And, and it's the great conversations, the camaraderie, the culture here is something that I will miss very much. And I think one of the other things I'll miss is something that, oddly enough, that I've taken more recently from like my son's robotics is this term that there's part of the robotics culture, which is something called gracious professionalism. And it's about being gracious, helping others, and being professional, whether you win or lose. It's about supporting everyone in the community because we're all in this together. And that's something that's really important, that we're competitors sometimes, and sometimes we're not in agreement, but then we still support what we're doing for the community as a whole because it's important that we succeed as a community. And it's like I had a long list of, people to thank, and, I think it's overall, I just want to thank everyone. And I think the most important people are actually walking in the door, my son and my wife and daughter, because if it weren't for them.
You're too nervous to come in.
Kevin, have him come in, will you?
He's talking about you.
Get in.
Don't want him to like.
You coming up here, Greta? Come on up.
So I want to thank my wife, my wife and my kids, because for all the things that we've done up here, and Michaela and Taylor, you guys really kind of talked about this, that we spent so much time up here in council and out in the community doing things and other meetings that I couldn't have done any of those things if it wasn't for the support of my family. For Casey, who, gosh, held down the fort for all those years, and for Kylie and Carson for being so understanding and appreciative of and supportive of me. And
Tell them all them hours we sat up here again?
Yeah. Yeah. We spent here in the past 6 years, we spent over 455 hours here together. And 455 hours over the past 6 years in meetings here, over the past 6 years of 140 council meetings, which is quite a lot. And of course, just this year alone, we read about 5,900 pages of staff reports too. But I think that, it's one of those things that I couldn't have done this without you guys, love you. And, it's hard to step away, but I know the city's in good hands. I'll still be around. I definitely hope and expect that we'll very much be meeting and doing other stuff together, with whether it's in the community as friends or just or maybe in my new role, like with the newspaper and working with you in that regard. But I certainly hope to continue like working with you in the future for the better of our community. And I thank you in that. Now on to Mark. Yes. So on to Mark. So Mark, it has been 14 years since you've been the mayor, and that year Barack Obama was president, Mark Dayton was elected to governor following Tim Pawlenty, and the iPad was introduced.
Oh,
yeah.
only took me 14 years to find that.
And the Google driverless car was introduced. Back then, the top 5 songs were TikTok by Kesha. Sorry, I would. It's but I'm old. I'm a Gen Xer. Kesha.
Yeah,
I know. How do you say that, right? Need You to Know by Lady Antebellum, Hey Soul Sister by Train, California Girls by Katy Perry, and OMG by Usher.
Oh my God.
Yeah. The top movies that year were Toy Story 3, Alice in Wonderland, Iron Man 2, The Twilight Saga Eclipse, and Harry Potter and the Deathly Hallows Part 1.
Never saw one of them.
I think you were busy being mayor that year.
Boy.
And so,
Thank God I had something to do.
so since then, Mark has had 322 meetings. And which meant that if we average about 10 gavel strikes a meeting, he's struck that gavel over here over 3,220 times. 3,221 times. And he's also known as the sexiest man in Chaska.
Oh, Lord.
Oh, wow.
Wait, that's for the newspaper. Never mind. Different story. But he also follows traditions of some amazing leaders. So, we talked about some of the leaders in our time, Doc Ziegler back in 1968 to 79, Tracy Swanson, who was our first female mayor back in 1979 to 1985, Bob Repke, who we all know, Gary Van Isle, and of course, Mark, right? And of course, with that, Mark, we all know he would start off, he's worked in public works back in the 1970s, was Chaska Fire for a number of years. And he was also the assistant fire chief in St. Louis Park too. So he's been a great mentor, a friend. He's someone always there to offer advice. And, as being that great mentor, and as a friend, sometimes as advice when I didn't want it to, right? But and that's for all those things, I always will value and respect and cherish you for the person who you are, for also your deep caring, your love for this community, and for the fact that you will always put the community in front of everything we do and do everything for the right reasons because you care about the community. And that's something I'll have the most respect for. And I always value all the time we spent together. I value all of your advice and all of the mentorship and guidance you've given me. And I am very proud to say that I served with you. So thank you very much, Mark.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Well, because I'm known for brevity, you'll leave me for last and give me 6 minutes to go. So no, I will keep this short because I echo a lot of the same stuff the council has currently said. Mike, I'll start with you. I've sat next to you. I've always seen your ABC on there and I always kind of smiled every time I saw it. So I appreciate that. So one thing I'll talk about, Mike, right? For me, I just always appreciated your constant attention to details because sometimes I like details and other times I want big ideas. So I could always count on those questions being asked. I was tempted tonight to try to jump in and ask questions on the budget or on the bills before you two, just to throw a wrinkle.
I asked.
I tried, but again, I appreciate that because as I look through those, I'd have questions. Early in the time, I realized he's gonna ask the same questions I'm gonna ask, I'll let, and it works. And I just appreciate that attention to ask those questions, right? So that's a simple story that I just think highlights who you are as an individual, about your attention to detail, building community, and just raw intelligence piece of it. So thank you for your service. Thank you for the community. It is never easy to run a race, to be elected and then sit through it. So thank you. Thank you for that. Mark, the story I'll share with you, I believe you'll remember this, but it was actually before I was on council. I was in my role with the park board. And I remember a phone call after it was a council meeting and I stood there and said something. Don't need to go on with what I said. It was appropriate, but I used the word that, it got a reaction. And the reaction was intentional on my part. But I remember the next day and the fact that you called me and just had an honest conversation about approach and style and understanding of who I was and I was coming from. And that stuck with me, right? I've appreciated that approach. Because you didn't need to do that. You owed me nothing. You didn't have to make that need, but you just had that, that desire to want to see a person that you know through park board meetings a little bit be successful and, build that character. So I appreciate that. I don't know if you remember that call or not, but I do. I remember
I remember, but I don't remember the words.
Yeah, I remember actually exactly where I was standing at my work site. I stepped away from my desk on my cell phone. So thank you for that. And then lastly, I would just say the thing that I've always appreciated, and it's been echoed here, but it's not enough to just let it go, is that it's that being a politician versus a public servant. And you truly were that public servant. The knowledge you have about the community, we make jokes about it. Yes, for the record, we realize that we do think we know who the oldest person on the next council is going to be.
Who is that now?
I'm not sure. We'll figure that out in
Not me.
January. We'll figure that out in
I
January.
can still be the baby.
Could be one of us over here.
One of you two, you were.
She's got me. So
Yes,
um,
I could possibly be the oldest,
Ah.
yes.
see how that worked? That changes quickly. But just the knowledge of the community and, you had referenced an owner of a property, I'm just like, how does that come so quick to you? Like, oh, that's that old deal. And I'm just like, and I'm like looking on the map, trying to figure out what we're talking about.
Property records.
Yeah, right. So just acknowledge that. But again, in the end of the day, this right here is who you are, Mark. Family members surrounding you, sitting on your lap, being a public servant to the people in this room, in this community that people don't see all the time. And so thank you. Thank you for that.
I greatly appreciate that. Thank you. What do you want me to do?
Well, I got
I got under a minute,
But
by the way.
do I do anything, or do you want to get this EDA out of the way and then
Let me
finish
say
up?
one thing first, and then we
Okay.
can do the EDA, and then we'll call the meeting quits.
And then we'll just finish,
Yeah,
because I got stuff to say.
yep.
Okay.
So I got stuff to say, I'll say it at your reception, but one of the things when I always sort of envision what it means to build community, I always think of the town Bedford Falls from It's a Wonderful Life. And think about the community members that made up that community, that when George Bailey was in trouble, they all came to his side. And one of the quotes from that I think is appropriate for both of you guys to think about is, strange, isn't it? Each man's life touches so many others' lives, and when he isn't around, he leaves an awful hole, doesn't he? And you guys will leave a big hole here that can't be filled. Everything will go on and move on. But you're both such a piece of the fabric of this community. I just appreciate the service that you guys have provided.
Thank you for that. All right. So I think we're gonna go ahead and adjourn this meeting, do our EDA, and then I can finish or whatever from there. Is that probably the best way? And get
Yeah,
that-
let's get the EDA meeting done.
Get the EDA. Okay, so is there anybody for last call that needs anything before we adjourn the council meeting?
I make a motion to adjourn.
Okay, so I have a motion by Councilmember Hubbard.
I second.
I do it?
Second by Councilmember Wong. All in favor of adjourning, say aye.
I
Opposed, same side.
suppose same side.
I hear none, so
I.
one.
I forgot to say I do. If I don't say I,
Take a picture of you guys.
if I don't say I, we don't have to leave.
So we all said aye, so
I
okay.
was the
So
only
one final time, we will adjourn this city council meeting. All right, ready? Hit the gavel. We are adjourned. Now we have a very short EDA meeting that we're gonna go right into. You gotta put that down. Okay, you've got to move a little bit. Give me a little bit. All right, so we're gonna call this meeting to order, the EDA meeting at 9:01. Elise, will you call roll?
Commissioner Hatfield.
Here.
Commissioner Hubbard.
Here.
Commissioner Wong.
Here.
Commissioner McGrath.
Here.
President Winfield.
Here. And you're here? Okay,
Yeah, I'm here.
we got these two. All right, next is adopting the agenda. Are there corrections or additions to the agenda? If not, I would entertain a motion to approve the agenda.
Oh, motion to approve agenda.
Motion by Commissioner Hatfield.
Second.
Second by Commissioner Gra. Discussion. Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Post same sign. Hit the gavel. Carries. Next, we're going to approve the previous meeting minutes, and that's from 9/16/2024. Again, if there are no corrections or additions, I'd entertain a motion to approve.
So move.
Motion by Commissioner Wong,
Second.
second by Commissioner Hubbard. Discussion. Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye. Post same sign.
Posting sign.
Motion carries.
Hey, now I get to know.
You're next. All right, next we have our discussion items. First on the docket is adopt resolution number EDA 2024-102, adopting the 2024 EDA budget and EDA property tax levy and payable 2025. Even need to say anything?
No, this is the exact same. So the only thing I will say is that the number that we compare ourselves to other cities for tax levies per capita, we include our EDA levy. So not all cities do. And so that was included in what you looked at before.
Good to know.
All right. So, and because we're having a lot of people filter in, these aren't things that we take lightly, but we went through the whole budgeting system in the regular council meeting. This is something that we have to do because we have an EDA budget as well. So with that, is there any discussion on adopting this? Hearing none, I'd entertain a motion to approve EDA 2024-102.
So moved.
Motion by Commissioner Wong,
Second.
second by Commissioner Hubbard. Discussion. Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Pose same sign.
Sorry, I missed it. Aye.
I was reading. Sign. Hit it.
I did.
Motion carries. All right, next we have adopt EDA resolution 2024-109 relating to issuance of $6,080,000 of EDA lease revenue funding bonds.
Mr. President and Commissioners, this item is something that was on the council meeting requesting the EDA to actually go through this refunding. We go through a process each year with our financial advisors to look at what debt we have in place that can get refinanced, and we can see savings over time. We have to meet a certain threshold of savings in order to be able to go out and do that, and we do meet that under this with this debt service here. With the refunding over a 10-year period, we'd save about $50,000 a year on this particular debt. So we are recommending that you approve the motion to go forward with executing all the documents to authorize issuance of this refunding.
All right, questions for Matt on this? I think anytime you can save 50,000 a year, it's well worth that. So, all right. If there are no discussions, I would entertain a motion again. That's adopting EDA resolution 2024-109 relating to the issuance of $6 million in EDA lease revenue funding bonds. Motion by Commissioner Grah.
Second.
Second by Commissioner Wong. Further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Pose same sign. Motion carries. With that, anybody got any other business for EDA? How about that Kentucky Fried
I
Chicken?
was just about to.
We're gonna pass on the KFC.
I'm gonna bring Nate back up for that
No,
one.
Go on, Nick.
Give us a little
give us
update
an
on the
update on
KFC,
KFC?
please.
No longer serving chicken.
All right. With that, any last call?
I move to adjourn.
Motion by Commissioner Wong to adjourn.
Second.
Second by these two over here on my right. I need that this time, you guys. I need
Yeah.
this on this time.
I know
okay?
you need to be more.
Okay.
All right.
efficient than that.
All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Post same sign. Again, one final time.
Oh, wait, hold on.
I'm gonna call. Here we go. Ready?
Yeah.
1, 2, 3. We are adjourned. Have a good night, everybody. Yeah, just for you guys. All right, I gotta get in. I gotta slide. So, this is really informal.
Oh, don't worry, we got stuff for you.